Blessed love and peace in Rastafari. So, obviously, we have brilliance to share as the soleil is being revealed in the eastern horizon. Uh, Taking a break from uh, editing of Tobadi Gokadao because, again, obviously, we have brilliance to share. Do want to share something that seems significant, um, and then some additional joints. So the joint is this, plain and simple, short and sweet. Everybody, every being, every person in life, I say every person in life, humanoid particularly, every person has a fundamental sacred decision to make in life. Two paths. Plain and simple, two paths. Rituals or civil war. Those are the two paths. How to align oneself. Either align oneself with rituals or align oneself with civil war. So on the Civil War front, it's a matter of recognizing Cats is out for self. Everybody's out for self in this game, in this life, in one way or another. Everyone's out for self. Everybody's running game. And then people get aligned accordingly. Um, People jump on bandwagons. People follow front runners. And additionally, whether it's nations, religions, tribes, that's it. And eventually, when one is successful enough, is able to persevere through the challenges and get through whatever, it don't stop. And what people begin to learn when going through the ranks is that um, there's less scruples. Like the cats that seem to have like the in the endeavor of civil warfare, and why it's civil war, because when it's us versus them, foreigners versus native, or foreigners versus home kin, it's easier to kind of like guide people in that propaganda. Additionally, but you always need that foreigner. You always need that enemy. Um, and when there's an absence of that enemy, the competition, that predatoriness, festers within. But it's always there. Um, and when one ascends to the ranks, one recognizes that. Well, I'm getting caught up in the words now. Point is, um, it's a brother versus brother, sister versus sister, parent. I mean, the ancients teach us about this. We look at the stories of Torah, the rivalry between brothers. We look at what Jesus teaches in terms of separating father from son, mother from daughter, da 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 da. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu talks about the importance of Islam having further priority than bloodline, because even when one has children, the rivalry of competition, jealousy, greed, selfishness, even within bloodline, it's like that. So when one walks this life long enough, eventually gets beyond the smileys and sees, yo, this cat is about self, and so and the pretense for cooperation and staying with each other is just like, well, we I'm getting caught up in the words, but the point is civil war. That's what it is. And all the alliances, all the propaganda, otherwise, um, is game. So, and it's tension when people talk about solidarity and people talk about being in the same community and being about the same thing. Um, it's hype, it's game, to get to get the forces together, um, and defeat and then conquer and take the booty from other entities. And what I'm endeavoring to articulate is the betrayal within that solidarity from the leadership, and recognizing how the leadership sets up its own peoples, uh, in turn, as a way of being subjugated continually, or if they're perceived as too much of a threat, to be undermined, setting cats up for losses, accusing cats of unsubstantiated crimes or other betrayals or lies or theft or whatever else. Let's we can, and then there's the whole thing about men and women relationship and jealousies and all the other types of indiscretions in that respect. So it's the betrayal within the solidarity that's difficult for people to recognize, and a lot of people just want to ignore it and just keep the blinders on and just focus on the enemy. But that's the nature of it. It's tenacious. So all that being said, people when starting to get a taste of life and like the vulnerabilities of life, threats, violence, even just dealing with the weather, the climate, seasons, and additionally starvation. Guys be like, yo, I gotta connect with somebody. So um, just recognizing that it's civil war, and all those unquestioned loyalties and everything else like that is just the prelude to eventual betrayal. And it's painful to see that within leaders. You don't want to think about that, like unquestioned. Then you start to like see again when rising through the ranks, see what their behavior is, see what they say about others. And you're like, wait, I thought that was cool. But that's what happens, and that's no shade, no disrespect, not throwing cats under the bus, just talking about the nature of the game across the board, across all the different boundaries, colors, and creeds, and everything else like that. So, study, read. It's plain in the stories. It says it right there. Um, so, uh, anyways, there's that. Now, it's not inevitable. Civil warfare is not. It's not a. It's not a. It's not a foredrawn conclusion. It's not. It's not a. An inevitability, to be redundant. How about that? Um, because the other option, the path, is rituals. Wait, how can that be the other path? Because it's a matter of living for something greater than oneself. Um, and so, and it's the alignment, it's the practice. Because either cats see like the front runners and just attach their wagons to the front runner, or attach to the rituals that provide the guidance of the rhythms and the relationship with nature, harvest, the climate, seasons, um, the ebbs and flows. And additionally, that's what the rituals for ancestors, the eternal, the most high. That's what the rituals do. And so it's not just a matter of like having the concept of living beyond oneself, and just walking, doing whatever, and say, oh yeah, I'm doing this, that, and the other for something greater than myself. The rituals are the traction. The rituals are where the rubber hits the road. How we actually live day to day, week to week, according to tradition, month to month, year to year, season to season, year to year, rite of passage to rite of passage, generation to generation. The rituals are what guide us through that, our daily and lifetime rituals. So we either align ourselves with the Civil War and go where the wind takes people, and additionally, and have to like vie for strategies and who's upcoming and plots and everything else like that, and align ourselves with all those narratives and schemes, or align ourselves with the tried and true, boring, every day. You know what's going to happen. This is what we do all the time. Stability, constancy, regularity, relationship, peace, balance, rituals. So I've talked about rituals because Kong Tzu and our ancients talk about rituals, from Moshe Rabbeinu to Kong Tzu and further. Rituals. And why I'm emphasizing rituals right now, because I've said before, song stories, rituals, and ethics. But why rituals? Like focusing on that. One, because songs and stories, it's still songs and stories. But if it's songs and stories alone, I emphasize that for a number of years because it's increasingly accessible, and it's immediate. It has that lightning of spirit, so it's very important. But if we just look at songs and stories without looking at the rituals, again, songs and stories get corrupted when we look at culture. And people get induced to different types of mentalities and behavior. And additionally, people, particularly with technology, have access to do different things with songs and stories, cut it up, cut it down, and chop it down, whatever else we talk about in the street vernacular. But that's the susceptibility of songs and stories. So songs and stories are still essential, but at the same time, we have to also like go further and be mindful of that. So the rituals, again, as I said before, time over and over again, is that the rituals is when we share our songs and stories, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. I have my voice back. I have a further appreciation for that. Hallelujah! All thanks and praise to the Most High. So, um, I voice back for the most part. Still a little bit of that raspy. Um, so the rituals are when we share our songs and stories, and I'm feeling energy. I'm supposed to be doing prayer and meditation right now, and I'm watching the AM rush hour in the sky, all the white lines, haha, pollution. Anyway, all right, not just air pollution, but psychological pollution too, mental. Anyways, the rituals, and then also the ethics. Say ethics, people's attention. People who are on it are there already, but otherwise people are like, oh, that's just a code word for principles. That's just a code word for judgmentalism. That's just a code word for condemnation. That's just a code word for subjugation, subordination, enslavement. I don't know. So, I mean, just being candid about that. So, ethics is essential. Um, and at the same time, people can talk about this and talk about honesty, whatever else. But again, rituals is the behavior. Rituals is where the rubber hits the road. You gotta think about a different one than that, because rubber hitting the road, that's pollution. So, where the hoof kicks the mud, something like that. Anyway, where the fins hit the water, something like that. Anyway, where the hoof hits the mud, where the hoof hits the clay, whatever. Um, that's the rituals. The song stories teach us about the ethics and strengthen our conversation about the ethics. But ethics is the foundation of the cooperation. That's how it's sustained. People might have skills. People can be geniuses in thinking about things and additionally, or doing things, and putting it out. But it's the ethics that keep people together in a sustainable way. Holding leaders, having rules of behavior, knowing what those are, holding leaders accountable. Because again, that's when we talk about the solidarity and then the civil war, the betrayal. The leaders have this game, whatever, have talent, skills, genius in many different ways. Um, but at the same time, yeah, like, yo, she's pretty. I don't care whose wife that is, blah blah. Or yo, that cat's got a lot of money. We could use that right there. And then the leaders find a way of usurping those things. So when there's ethics and there's accountability for those ethics, that's what helps keep people in proper order. And that's not an impositional thing, but in proper respect and balance and cooperation with each other. So, all right, that's the joint about civil war and rituals. There's other things here. What? I did so much talking already. Okay. I'm remembering another thing, but there's some additional joints. And this I almost thought this was going to be very quick, because this is a break. I'm supposed to be praying and meditating right now. The also consideration side note is that I should be doing this maybe. I should be doing my music, to be honest, not doing these joints, but recognizing whatever is drawing me into this, concentrating it on a monthly basis, because we're looking at the finding I rather than doing it weekly, doing it to a monthly, because it's somewhat of an interruption in the concentration, just being in the cyber environment. So guiding that into a monthly joint, and then in doing that, basically like whatever I have to say during the period of a month. Again, maybe the new moon, maybe the full moon, but whatever I've got to say, put that up to the month, and then share that on the monthly, and then when getting onto the cybersphere, then seeing what the cybersphere has to communicate in that monthly period or from that monthly period, um, and then also having the Finding I and I, the Zoom call for any kinfolk who have the interest of reasoning live. Um, so, anyways, that's a side note. Meanwhile, back on the ranch. I said, oh, okay. So he's talking about the fundamental decision between civil war and rituals. And again, I'm still thinking about that question that we shared with the brethren and sister in the past week about how much longer do you think you have to be yourself? And part of the consideration with that is, I mean, brother mentioned the job, and that's some of it, but that's a little bit, again, it's cliche, and he's accurate with that, and I responded and told him that. He said, oh, you already know. But it's a matter of like, yo, what do you mean by that? Like, what is, everybody's got to have a job, because we talk about that too. You got to put food on the table. So how do you avoid that? Everybody got to work. So what does that mean? Losing oneself in the job. Here's a sign. Here's a symptom of losing oneself. When you start saying just ignorant, non-meaningful shit, bullshit like this. Oh, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Oh, I gotta put the nose to the grindstone. Just these euphemisms that are like non-statements, and they come from someplace. There's an element of truth, respect to a certain extent. But the thing is, people say these things as just a way of like abiding by the culture of working and being contributing. Oh, busy. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't mean to be condescending. Don't mean to be devaluing. But just to be mindful of what you're actually saying. Because not saying much of anything. Busy. Doing what? What's the productivity? You're doing busy because you want to be perceived as being contributing to the entity and valued and sustain the job and the salary, benefits. And then, but it's like adding to the stress of like, oh, they're busy. I better be busy. And so it's that environment of just appeasing the higher ups within the hierarchy to keep to keep the privilege. So, and again, a side note, as I've said before, any cat in the environment or the atmosphere of privilege, be careful, because that is an environment of you receiving things that you don't think that you deserve, and thus being enslaved and leveraged in those conversations. And additionally, through even just the plain old social interactions and conversations, it's just like, oh, I better not upset the boat because I'm very privileged to be here. But recognizing that wherever you're at, you're fully deserving of that. For better or worse. I should be careful about that, because there's things that nobody deserves that people experience, but that's another story. But particularly on the benefit side, you have value, and so there's no like get beyond that privilege trope, because that's just a matter of being enslaved. Again, slavery, mental slavery, and that's the nature of imperialism as well. And it ain't no hate. It's just facts. Um, so that's a sign, the euphemisms of losing oneself, because you're saying things and not even thinking about it. One is saying things and not even thinking about that. And when one finds oneself doing that increasingly and kind of like just saying things to get along, that's a sign of losing oneself, because one is attaching oneself again just to or significantly to the approval of the employer, and there is a losing of the sense of of a purpose beyond that. Uh, and so even the conversations, the thought, the principles, um, one aligns oneself with a script of that type of culture and that type of conversation, so that one talks with other people who talk in that way. One watches news or stories, television, film. I don't even know what people call things these days, on media, or just say media. One watches media that supports, or that propagates that type of articulation and that type of numbness of just kind of like going with the status quo type situation. This is not like a condemnation or whatever about status quo, but it's just a matter of being mindful, because that's cliche as well. Oh, status quo, but just be mindful of what one is saying, and when one is saying things without being mindful, that's a sign of losing oneself. Uh, I remember many years ago, my brother mentioned the notion of somebody being bothered by having to think about something. Um, so um, that's part of it, because, well, that's a whole another conversation about manifestation of thought and further. Uh, Distraction, concentration, continuation, drip drop, drip drop. What was that? Tea? A water drop upon gray hairs? Anyways, the other thing to share. Right. Oh, all right. Okay. So, consideration. Somebody does something to you negative, or at least you perceive that. It seems that somebody does something to you negative. Maybe they lied to you, or they stole from you, or they did some physical impropriety towards you, then coughed on you and made you sick. Oh, bugger. We got a couple options there. One, we can blame. We can look at cause and effect and be like, yo, this person did something, it had negative effect on me. Buggeration. And then respond accordingly. Retaliation. Well, that's not done. Imposition of justice. Study, learn, heal ourselves, get stronger, continue trotting. Okay. But what about this one too? Instead of getting mad, sometimes we can distance, yes. But instead of getting mad and getting that's my elbow right there. Instead of getting mad or I was raising my elbow to do this, even. Instead of getting even, here's another option. Whatever that person did, whatever that person did, to recognize, yo, person's suffering, hurting. Whether they lie, cheat, steal, violence, whatever, them hurting. So when you recognize that and you heal and you're like, yo, well, hold up. Okay. All right, I'm better. Now, once you're better, or amidst getting better, you be like, oh, you can get back at them. You can keep some distance, or you can teach and be like, yo, you know what? You lied right there. Do you want to keep on doing that, or you want to try to like figure out a better way for yourself and others? You hit me that time. That wasn't right. Well, what's going on with you? Somebody hitting you? What's going on? Now, sometimes we have further strength, sometimes we have further patience to do that than other times. But it's a consideration because I'll show you where I'm getting this from. In recent experience, I have to be mindful of how much I share about this without doing implications. And I have to go back into this because, again, prayers, meditation. I'm doing a break. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. I'm deliberating about how much I share the details. Um, there's a recent occasion. I'm just seeing if I can articulate this without being too specific. There's a recent occasion where I experienced a challenge, and there is significant estimation that this challenge is significantly precipitated by interaction with other kinfolk, specific kinfolk, without blaming anything, just recognizing cause and effect. And so, in recognizing that and in dealing with the difficulties from that interaction, saying, okay, this is a challenge, but persevere through it. So do that. Thank God. Thank the Most High, Elohim. Appreciation for Tao harmony. Jai Om. Alhamdulillah. Mado. So, getting through that. Then, I'm just getting through that. Another interaction, another cause and effect, another challenge emerges. And it becomes, oh, no. Just went through this. Nah. And then from that second occasion, it's like, okay, we have to make a decision. Either we like keep a distance, either we say something like direct and candid, but like, nah, we ain't having this. Or we can offer what we just learned and be like, and not doing it in a way that's derogatory or demeaning or devaluing or demoting in terms of like subordinating and subjugating, like, oh, I've learned this lesson, I can teach you, but just share it. And the other kinfolk can respond and receive it accordingly or otherwise. But rather than being antagonistic, again, whether it's violence, lying, theft, or whatever else, learn that lesson of the pain and the suffering, and additionally, and how to resist it better, going on, and then share that lesson to the perpetrator. And that might sound cheerier than like what's actually possible and plausible. It's just a question of how strong is you, how strong does you want to be, because it's exactly possible and it's exactly plausible. It's a question of how much we're willing to let go of in that process. And sometimes, again, like it's further relevant than other times. The sukkah tent, the sukkah schoolhouse, is actually reconstructed. It is renovated. I'm looking at it now, so there's a sense of peacefulness, actually, to be honest. Because it's not, it ain't perfect. Still some work to be done. Still some cleaning the leaves. Yo, the birds, as the sparrows are gobbling up the rice at this very moment. Even whilst I'm talking, they were here at the break of dawn. Gobbling, because they making eggs right now. You could tell, they eating voraciously. And these are the women. These are the female sparrows, the wives and moors. They were the first ones here at our cafe, at our outdoor cafe. So that's we're feeding birds. We're feeding the next generation. Hallelujah. So about the birds and about the sukkah tent, from the side note, Um, yo, I've been looking at the outside of it for the past week or two, um, waiting for the opportunity to and the determination of doing the repairs and adjustments. And so I do that yesterday by the grace of the Most High. Hallelujah. And in doing it, I go inside the Sukkot schoolhouse, which has been unroofed for a number of weeks. And so on the outside, it looks comparatively decent. I mean, it's been raining here and there, but it looks comparatively decent. When I go inside, yo, it's a bird bath. And by a bird bath, I don't mean the clean type. I'm talking about the birds done lit it up. The bird bathroom. I don't know if that's TMI, but it's nature. But yo, it's like, wait, hold on, what's going on here? It was like all types of all type of droppings of all types of colors, white, black, green, brown, and like on all the different walls, high and low. And it's like, and I again look at the outside, ain't nothing. There's hardly anything on the outside, clean or basically going inside, and it's like, wait, this somebody, some humanoid must have done this. Come on, this is. But hey, um, so uh, now what is being communicated? Because birds do things certain with a certain intentionality, with certain indifference, or whatever. But all of this eating of rice is going somewhere. And every time I rest my elbow and try to lift it up again, what up? That's the other thing too. Yesterday, have I finished saying what I was going to say? Yeah, I said you got a choice. When somebody causes affliction or seems to be causing affliction, you can respond. You can retaliate. You can distance, which is distancing is very legitimate and um, sometimes preferable or favorable. But the one other option or another option. What up? These are the brethren right here. And it's like no other birds. It's like the sparrows is holding shop. Like the Blue Jays even know, like, yo, nah, the sparrows are doing their thing right now. Ain't no sign of the woodpecker. Don't even see no cardinals. Yo, the sparrows are running things right now. What up? So I mentioned retaliation. How many times? Back and forth. I feel like a sparrow flittering. What up? Let's watch out. Retaliation, distancing, or teaching, and not just teaching about, yeah, let me tell you, da da da, but like sharing the lesson that is learned. Um, for those that want to up their game of compassion, and so again, the bird bath inside the tent. Um, that just means cleaning. That's all that is. That's simple. Water. Come on. I got redness. The light is out now. I got redness on the face. That I see that red bone. It wasn't that red growing up. Yeah, that's red right there. Or as I didn't think I was. Again, look at my dad. I would be like, yo, it's brown. It's brown. But a little bit of that burning outside of the nose is less of a concern. It's not mucusy. So yeah, all right. We just basking at this point. Por supuesto. I don't know if that's said in Basque country, but the rain in Spain is mainly on the plain. That's all I'm saying. Stop playing. That's it. Bada 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 bada. So, am I a morning person? Yeah. But I live in a cave, by the way. Um, I am significantly restricted from approaching a woman and inviting her into marriage immediately because of prohibitions of proselytizing, just for information. Recent FYI. Flying squirrels say what's up. Trees are green, greeny green. And yeah, I'm not going to flex my neck, but I do see the differentiation of coloration. I don't know that's much different, but I do see the differentiation, and I'm not trying to flex. It's just that this neck is very big. This is a 5XL. So, and it was tight at one point. It's going on like 9 years now since I started losing weight. Since I lost weight, I'm done gaining weight. But yeah, 9 years. That's when I began going vegan 9 years ago. Yes, all right. I'm rambling right now. I'm taking a break, doing the editing, specifically the text from Mint. Somewhat further involved than initially intended, but also beneficial and prudent. So, that being said, we give all thanks to praise the Most High. Blessed love and peace in Rastafari.